name is Felicia Wright, and this is the Go Rogue podcast. Do you feel stuck? Does every day feel like Groundhog's Day? Well, I'm here to tell you it's time to take charge of your life and know that you are meant for more than this. It's time to go rogue. This podcast is for people that are ready to say enough is enough and discover their new normal with entrepreneurship. Get ready because your rogue journey starts now. Let's get into it. What's up, Go Rogue? Welcome to episode 5. I can't believe it. We made it. And in this episode, we are going to be talking about finding the motivation. My name is Felicia Wright, your host, and I am a teacher that decided to go rogue and start my own business. I started this business. Started social media marketing when I was still teaching. And then after a while, I just decided that enough was enough and I wanted to do this full time. So I want to talk about finding the motivation because when I was still teaching, I had some friends and coworkers and just family in general. People ask me, it's like, well, how on earth are you doing this in addition to teaching? Because as you know, teaching is crazy town. And what I mean by that is like it's a lot of work and it's exhausting. Trust me, I was exhausted and finding the motivation was really difficult, but I just got to the point where I had to do it. So let's talk about finding the motivation. And honestly, motivation is like a little monster because it's constantly running away from me because it's so hard to get motivated to get up off the couch and be like, okay, it's time to work. But let's talk about what that looks like when you're still teaching or if you're still working retail or doing something else. What does that look like? So for me, and if you've listened to episode 2, great. If not, head back over there. But in episode 2, I talk about my jumping off point of why I started all this, like the pain that I experienced that made me start to think, oh, well, maybe there's something better out there for me. So if you haven't checked that out, go back to episode 2 and check out Enough is Enough. But that pain point really helped me stay motivated. And granted, by the time when that pain first started, that was like 2 years ago. And then after 2 years later, I actually was able to quit. But what kept me going was the ongoing pain, I guess. So when it comes to pain can either make you bury your head in the sand, or it can really make you move. And by move, like, it makes you act. So that pain I experienced made me act. And then the ongoing pain, I guess, was the day in, day out grind of like going to school and teaching. And it wasn't so much the kids. Like, I loved my babies. They were my babies. I don't care what anybody says, they're my babies. But I think it was all the other stuff. You know, the paperwork, the parents constantly cussing you out over something really tiny, just like all the extra stuff. That was the pain that kept me going. I just would look around and say to myself, it's like, well, what am I doing here? And when I reached that point, I realized it was time. It was close to the time to step away because the kids deserve something better. And I really started to look at my own kids. I felt like I was almost neglecting them a little bit because I would pour into my classroom all day long, into those kids all day long, my other babies. And then when I got home, there wasn't that much left for my actual babies. And there was a lot of guilt associated with that because I felt like, and I still feel like they deserve the best part of me. And I knew that they weren't getting that. And just for reference, currently my babies are 4 and 2. So I got some little itty bitties right now. So they really did need my attention and still do. So that was what motivated me to keep going. So that's like the big picture motivation. So on the day-to-day motivation, let's talk about that. So say I'd go to school and it was a particularly rough day, the um let's say and this has happened before, the fire alarm goes off when I'm pumping. So I was a breastfeeding mama, so I'd pump and then somebody pull the fire alarm, so all heck breaks loose and it's just crazy town. So I know you guys have all experienced those days. Let me know if you've experienced those days, because I know I'm not the only teacher out there. But on those days, you get home and you just want to sit down and just be silent, especially me. I taught first grade, so it's like little babies, Miss Wright, Miss Wright, Miss Wright, Miss Wright. So I'd want to sit down and just be quiet. But of course, the kids wouldn't allow it. My kids. So I would play with my kids, and then after that, I'd sit down for a little bit and then just listen to something inspirational, look at something inspirational to really get me going. Because in the thick of it, when you're in that moment, you're home, the kids are there, they want your attention too, and you're just flat out exhausted. You're gonna need something to pull you out of the funk, really, because that funk can run for so long and so deep, and next thing you know, it's like, oh, it's time to go to bed and I got nothing done. So it's important to look for inspiration. For me, it was podcasts. I listened to a lot of podcasts and a lot of audiobooks, and I do mean a lot. And just hearing other people's stories of where they began and how they ended up was so inspirational to me, and that would help me take a baby step, get online and start looking for clients. That really helped me stay motivated. Another way that helped me stay motivated was to really cut back on television. Yes, I said it. You gotta cut back. And I know it's an unwind and it's just something to stare at, so you don't have to really think about anything. Because let's be honest, teachers, we're thinking constantly all day long, and it never stops, and we're always making decisions. So coming home and not thinking about anything in front of a TV, it just makes life so much easier. But I don't want you to do that. I want you to schedule some time to work on your business or your passion project. You have to schedule the time, and don't schedule too much time. So I am the biggest culprit of this. I will overschedule myself, overbook myself, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get it all done because I'm Superwoman. But don't do that to yourself. I'm still working on it. I always think I can get way more done in a day than I actually can. But don't do that to yourself, because you're just setting yourself up for failure. And then it's just going to make it that much easier to quit when you don't do the things that you've outlined for yourself. So schedule times that you're going to work on your business, and make sure you do it, but don't overbook yourself, and make sure you're not watching too much television. So when I was teaching, now there's a show that I just simply couldn't give up. I was like, I don't care. Like, I need Game of Thrones. Any Game of Thrones watchers out there? Like, I just could not give it up. I was like, no way, no how. But that was the only thing I was watching. So once Game of Thrones, it was funny. So last school year, the Game of Thrones season was shorter than usual. I think by like a couple of episodes. So it came on. I carved out that time on Sundays to watch it. And then once it was over, it was over. And my husband's like, well, now what are you going to watch? I was like, nothing else. I was like, now I've got that extra time to work on my business, I guess, because Game of Thrones is off. And if you are a follower, and then this past year they skipped the year to work on production, so that gave me even more free time to work on my business. So if you love TV, pick one. I would say pick one. Pick one show that you just can't simply give up, because trust me, I've been there, and just stick with that. But all the rest of it, the flicking, the mindless watching, I would suggest giving that up. Because it's not serving you. You do need the entertainment, but give up the flicking and just not really watching anything else. Just pick that favorite. Um, Another way I got motivated was talking to family, my support system. So my husband has been my biggest cheerleader, with his little pom poms. Okay, he doesn't have pom poms, but in my head he has pom poms when he's cheering me on. He's been my biggest cheerleader. So if I'm having a bad day, I talk to him about it. And does he get sick of me talking about business? Yes, yes, he does. But that's his job, because he's my husband. Boom. But I talk to him about it, and he offers some words of encouragement. Some days he's on and he's like, "Yeah, you can do it," and other days he's sick of it and he's just like, "Yeah, you can do it, babe. Let me play video games now." So I lean on him when I can. If it wasn't him, it was my sister. So if you have some friends or family that truly believe in what you're doing, it's okay to lean on them sometimes. Do they completely understand what you're doing? In the beginning, they more than likely won't, unless they've been down the journey with you or done it themselves. Um, they will give you the glazed over look. I wish you could see my face, because it's like the glazed over look. And the glazed over look is people that just don't understand and they can't relate, but they love you and continue to listen. Those people are the best people, because they do it for you and they love you, and they are your they got your back, and you can't pay for that. So lean on a friend, family member, let them know what you're going through, and let them give you a pep talk. Everybody loves giving somebody a pep talk, especially somebody that you care about. So let them give you a pep talk, and you will feel a little bump of energy, a little bit of motivation. So leaning on somebody is definitely something that you should do to help find your motivation. So, um, in conclusion, I would definitely suggest looking at your pain point and just keep it in the back of your head, like, okay, this is why I'm doing this. This is where I see myself going. And then lean on people around you that love you. Schedule time to work on your passion project, your business, and see what happens. Give up some of your free time. In the beginning, it's not going to be easy. I'm not going to hop on here and say, "Hey, if you just put something out there, you're going to make $100,000." No, that's not the case. But if you do put in the work and power through the struggles, it definitely is worth it. So that's all I have for you today. I hope that was helpful. If you like this episode and other episodes, definitely leave me a review, an honest review, and let me know what you think. And hop over to the Go Rogue community on Facebook, where I host trainings over there on how to build your own business, how to become a freelancer, and all sorts of goodies to take over the world. So I hope that was helpful. Oh, by the way, the to access the group, I almost forgot to give you the link. It's probably in the show notes, but to get to the group, go to bit.ly/rogue community and hop over there to access all those goodies. So I hope you are having an amazing day. Hang in there. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and go out there and take some inspired action. Catch you next time.